And it's just not the same live streaming key that everybody gets. So, but if you're following my channel on YouTube, you can definitely find me there. All right, it says it's setting up. It says live on YouTube. Welcome, welcome. Clear Vision Wednesday. I am Claudia Mühlenweg. I am a natural vision educator, the founder of Holistic Vision and the creator of the Natural Clear Vision Method. And I'm here with my student, Kay Magenheim, and we are going to work together to bust the 10 common vision myths. And let me spotlight her. So welcome, Kay. And I'm going to do just a quick little introduction. So you had this idea because before you met me or before you heard about this, you had, all of these common beliefs. And I love how you will share with us like how they changed your perception about vision after you did my program. So you want to share a little bit about what you thought about when you came up with this topic and why this is so important to you?
Mute myself. There we go. Okay. Hi. So, well, I've done a lot of things holistically and, naturally over the years, and including, dental, all kinds of things. But the vision part was the thing I kept thinking there had to be something out there that was more natural instead of just the same old. And I'm kind of an idealist that way also. But I wasn't really quite sure what. And then finally, like a year and a half ago, I was ready to just like throw my glasses on the ground and stomp on them. And I asked a friend who used to be a vision teacher. Anyway, long story short, I was led through that friend showed me a Facebook post. Claudia was doing an introductory summit on a Saturday or something. Anyway, then I took the class and it's amazing. So I had this idea to we're like going back in time as to where I was in my thinking and my beliefs a year and a half ago. And then we're going to kind of illuminate some of those myths that are so common in our world today. So.
Okay, so the way, and I love, because Kay has kind of woven it into her own story. And so the way we're going to do this is Kay is just going to ask me a question, like as if you you reeled back in time, and then we will talk about that. Is that fact or is that fiction? So you want to just go ahead with the first one?
Sure. Okay, so when I was a kid, I was always told eat carrots. Everybody says carrots are good for your eyes and eat your vegetables. And I liked carrots, so I ate them. But then in the second grade, I found out I needed to have glasses. And I was just like so mad. I refused. I was a pretty stubborn kid. And so I just refused to eat carrots for at least a couple of years because I'm like, well, I was told that these would help me and they didn't. So, then I kind of wondered for a long time. I just figured, well, it doesn't really matter what you eat or, what you really do to your body overall, because it has nothing to do with it, because I ate those carrots and it didn't help.
So yeah, and I love this one because we were just shopping out. I'm actually visiting Kay. We're in the same building in different rooms. We were shopping out yesterday, and this woman said in the store, we were talking about eyesight. She was glass, and she said, I guess I need to eat more carrots. And I'm like, oh my God, this was exactly. So yes, so the myth is that carrots alone, you eat tons of carrots and you will have perfect eyesight. And here's the thing, it's a half myth and a half fact, because yes, carrots contain a lot of beta carotene, which is important, a precursor to vitamin A, which helps improve your night vision. But just eating a bunch of carrots alone, that can actually raise your blood sugar, which can lead to diabetes. So yes, carrots are a good food to eat, but does that mean carrots alone, like Bugs Bunny, right, will give you perfect vision? No, definitely not. So that is a myth that carrots alone are like you eat them and then you're like, and Kay, that's exactly your experience, right? You were like this good kid and then you were like, wow, this doesn't work. But yes, what you eat has a big impact on your eyesight. And this is too short of a session to go into diet. That's another topic, but diet is very important for your eyes. So what's the next one?
Okay, so my mom and my dad both wore glasses. A lot of people in my family wore glasses, had cataract surgery. And so my sisters had glasses and she was young. And I guess people just tell you it's heredity and there's really nothing you can do about it. So I'm wondering if that's really so.
So yes, that's another thing that we comment. The number two is really that belief that, you know, it's genetics and just your parent, like you said, your parents, your sister, everybody wore glasses. So here's the thing, there is definitely some genetic traits for especially certain eye diseases or like, you know, congenital. We will talk about eye diseases in a little bit more in detail in the future, but, you know, babies can be born with cataracts or there's juvenile macular degeneration. So there is definitely some factors, but most refractive errors, and that really, a refractive errors refers to farsightedness, nearsightedness, and astigmatism, are not genetic, but they are, because we will mention a little bit the personalities, it's really more like a personality style. Let's say a nearsighted person is, you know, maybe a little bit more introverted or a little bit more in their own little bubble. A farsighted person is more out there in the world. And children, and you know, you might all remember this, we all copy our parents, our teachers. There's actually studies done showing that if a teacher wore glasses, more kids are likely to wear glasses. So as kids, we copy behaviors, we copy like personality traits, like we are rewarded, like maybe you've been rewarded for reading a lot of books or being inside or, you know, being a good student. So it's really more about copying behaviors than genetics. It's like so, you know, the epigenetics, like what do you do with your life and how that expresses itself. Or there's this gene that's turned on and suddenly, boom, your eyeball goes too long in second grade, you know? Yeah, but that's a common one. All right, go ahead with the next one.
Okay, so around that time, I was probably, what, 7 or something in second grade. And so there was a lot going on. My parents had been divorced for a couple years and I wasn't really seeing my dad at all. And, you know, I was trying to be the good girl so that everything else would go okay. And I was pretty bored in school and I started getting a lot of sore throats. Just, I actually like staying home. But, you know, there was just, so then, like, I was the only kid in our elementary school whose parents were divorced. And then I'm like one of the only kids that ends up with glasses. And it feels like nobody really kind of like talked to me about any of that. So I'm just kind of curious if any of that would have anything to do with needing glasses.
So yes, and this is, you know, it's maybe not so much of a myth versus a ignorance, right, on behalf of the eye care industry and most of us, that so-called adverse childhood events, and you know, going through your parents going through a divorce, you know, and you're the only kid with glasses. That was my experience. You know, you're like that outsider, that weird kid, you know, that is a kind of adverse childhood event, or some, you know, might call it trauma, but that affects your feeling of being safe, you know, and we cannot be healthy and relaxed and feeling good about ourselves if we don't feel safe. So, you know, your desire to stay home, right? That kind of said, like, at home you felt good, but in school you didn't feel safe or you didn't feel good. So that's definitely important. And a lot of times, especially with nearsightedness, myopia, because babies are born farsighted, and why are you suddenly, you know, becoming nearsighted? And it's really your nervous system wanting to protect you. Your nervous system always wants to protect us, keep us safe. And seeing all that stuff out there, you know, it's better to blur it out so that you feel safe in your little bubble. And that's really pseudomyopia. And then, but then once you go to the eye doctor, they get you the glasses, and then it really manifests, and your eyeball does, in fact, grow too long. So yes, this is definitely true that all these events that you just described have an effect. And it doesn't mean that every kid that goes through this will have glasses. But the body expresses this kind of trauma, right? Maybe with eczema or stomach aches, or, you know, but vision is often a common effect of that. Blurry vision is often a common effect. Yes. So, but go ahead with the next one.
So the next one is, I spent a lot of time alone. You know, there might have been other people in the house, but I would read and do like crafts, you know, little small task kinds of things. But then I was also told that reading, especially if you're reading small print, that's not good for your eyes. And, you know, you'll ruin your eyes if you use them too much and that kind of thing. So I wonder if that's really true.
So yes, so the idea that small print reading is bad, or spending, you know, too many hours, you know, at the near point, and that's also a myth. And again, this is like the carrots. There's a little bit of truth to that, but I cannot remember. I saw this article. It was like, I think in the 19th century, but they had created these devices for children, these little metal bars, so that when they were reading their books, that they couldn't get closer, right? They made the print larger in schools, and that was around Dr. William Bates's time, where they made the print larger, and they had these headrests so that the kids, again, they couldn't get too close to the book, and it had literally zero effect. In fact, it made a lot of children's vision worse. So no, small print doesn't make your vision worse at all. It's same like with reading in dim light. You didn't mention that, but I've been told, reading in dim light or with a flashlight under the covers, is also killing your vision. So that's absolutely not true. What is true is if you're using strain, if you're making an effort to read small print, then that's not helpful. But if your vision is good and you're effortlessly reading small print is actually one of the methods that I use and that Dr. Bates used to improve your eyesight. So absolutely not true. Yes, so small print and reading in dim light is actually good for your eyes, assuming that you don't strain by squinting or any kind of poor vision habits. So it's a myth.
Okay, so this whole thing about light, we hear all the time, skin cancer, and I remember a few years ago, I never have been one to put sunglasses on, like, in order to even be able to walk outdoors. So I don't use sunglasses a lot, but I've had friends, especially older friends, say, "Oh, you have to always wear your sunglasses, and get cataracts, and oh, you have to protect your eyes from the sun." And it makes you think like the sun is some big bad boogeyman. So I'm just kind of curious what that really is about sunlight and vision.
Yeah, sunlight is such a great topic that it can fill definitely like an hour of conversation. But here's some brief highlights. So first of all, I want to connect what you did before, because you said you spend a lot of time indoors and you were reading. And so there is a connection that scientists have now found on different levels with nearsightedness, especially the development of nearsightedness and myopia on, sunlight. So they saw that children that spend 2 hours or more outside every day, even if it wasn't sunny, just outdoor natural light, and compared to children that spend most of their afternoons indoors, is usually we are in school, we are already indoors during the morning or until noon, and then so they saw that way higher increased rates of nearsightedness. They did animal experiments and also looking at children or Chinese living in cities in China versus in Australia. So the sunlight definitely has a connection to the development of nearsightedness. In other words, if you don't get enough natural light, your chance of being nearsighted are way higher. And the other factor is, yes, so sunlight, it's a myth that sunlight is bad for us. The eyes are the organ of light perception. It's the way we get most of the vitamin D, so the eyes. We have these built-in sunglasses called pupils. They contract when it's bright, they open up when it's dim. However, I always want to make a disclaimer, because there are certain conditions that where you have to be careful with the sun, or extreme conditions like snow, bright sky, the ocean. So I'm talking about our normal day-to-day lives, not assuming we take any drugs that inhibit our pupil constriction. The sun is actually super important because your cone cells in your eyes don't even see at night. So we do need light. Our cells are called photoreceptors. Photo means light, right? So sunlight is definitely very important. And sunglasses have been most originally invented for pilots and for Arctic explorers that were in these extreme conditions, and then have been popularized by Hollywood stars. And now it's $1 billion industry. And so sunglasses are actually not good for your vision. Again, assuming you don't have any of these conditions, or, and with macular degeneration, you touched on that a little bit. It's really about how healthy your eyes are. So if you eat a poor diet and you don't get lutein and zeaxanthin, and then yes, you can extreme sunlight combined, or let's say your pupils don't constrict properly, right? You have some kind of disease or take a drug, like if you smoke marijuana, right? Your pupils will be dilated. You definitely want to put sunglasses on in that case. But assuming you're healthy, you do need sunlight, and it's absolutely good to go into the sun without sunglasses.
So I keep seeing ads in our local newspaper and in the AARP magazine, and big ad, it's only a matter of time before you will get macular degeneration. And so, the word out there is if we're going to get older, then we're going to get these diseases. So that just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah, and just for those of you that are not from America, AARP, it's a magazine. I don't know what the acronym is, but it's a magazine.
American Association of Retired Persons.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once you turn 50, you get that, you get subscription, Yeah, so, and that also, you mentioned macular degeneration that applies to cataracts. I've recently been on a summit on that. I was watching a summit and, an actor said, yes, everybody gets cataracts. So here's the thing, and I touched on this earlier. If you eat a good diet, if you get the lutein and zeaxanthin, if you are, overall healthy, if your heart is healthy, if you don't have diabetes, all these things that we do for our general health will also mean that you don't get macular degeneration. There's so many examples out there of people that don't get macular degeneration, but they have the good vision habits, they have the healthy diet, they get plenty of movement. Same with cataracts, right? Cataracts is often smoking, steroid drugs, excessive sunlight, right? Being out in extreme conditions all the time, eating, high blood pressure. There's all these factors that will affect your chance. And yes, there is also some genetics, sometimes with diseases, but I hate that they call AMD age-related macular degeneration, like your magazine says, it's only a matter of time. Here's the thing, age is just, there's more years and decades where we accumulate the bad habits that we did, right? At some point, there's a consequence. Every action you take, at some point, there's a consequence. When you're young, you can do lots of stuff, no consequences. Eventually, that bad stuff catches up with you, and then it's not really your age that determines that, but it's really, what did you do all these decades and years before you were diagnosed with something like that? So yeah, it's a myth that everybody gets these diseases.
So the other thing that's always bothered me is when you go and they put you in that, you rest your chin at the optometrist and you have those big hard metal things up against your face and you're like this, and they say, tell me which is better, number one or number two? And so I'm like, well, wait, number one was better, but I just blinked, or I just sort of changed my focus a little bit, and now number two is better. And then, it's like, it's very stressful, and like, okay, we'll try it again, number one or number two. So then it kind of makes me wonder, well, so there's something wrong with my eyes that every time I blink, the focus changes a little bit. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, so basically it's that idea that you can measure your eyesight, right? Because you were saying you blinked and something changed and you focused and then you weren't sure, one or two, you were confused. I had that same experience when I, used to wear glasses and I went to the eye doctor. At some point you just guess, you're like, because here's the thing, what I felt, I don't know about you, but I felt like there has to be a right answer. There's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. And what if I get it wrong? So that was my feeling always. Like, I'm like, shit, sorry, excuse me for cursing, but what's the right one? What's the right one? Maybe if I say one, but it's not really one, as if there was. So here's the thing, vision varies for everybody. And it can vary like within seconds because your central nervous system state varies, or your focus, you're blinking. Blinking is a relaxing thing, right? You shift your focus, you mentioned that. Maybe you take a deep breath and you're more relaxed. So like when I was stressed out, the YouTube live that we did today, that I had it on schedule, there was an issue with my YouTube. I had to shut it all down. I was just a few minutes ago, I was in major panic mode. And yes, in that moment, my vision gets blurry. Then I relax, everything starts and it clears up. So it's absolutely normal that your vision changes, right? So when you go to the doctor and they measure you, and let's say you go at a time when your vision, when you've been on the computer all day long, and maybe that's when your vision gets more tense or more blurry, then you go to the eye doctor and then you assume, like as if there's like a metal steel ball is your eyeball, that's your vision, this is exactly measurable. But here's the thing, you go to different eye doctors on different days, or even to the same eye doctor on different days, you would get different results each time. And this is based on, because our eyes and our brain, and we actually see in the brain, is a breathing, living organism. And like your heart rate changes, right? Like your pulse changes, your blood pressure changes. That's on your eyes, your vision or your visual acuity, your diopters, if you would say it that way, also change. So there is really no right or wrong answer. And this is right that your eyes were nothing wrong with your eyes. Something what's wrong is with the system to believe that's this exact measurement and that's going to be your measurement. And then think of LASIK. I know you would never do that, but think of LASIK. Now they engrave this thing on your cornea. That is a temporary measurement on a specific day. So just want to throw that out there.
So kind of back to going to the eye doctor. So you're going and, you know, they're the professionals and they're supposed to know everything there is about eyes. And, you know, you kind of get the impression that it's all about the shape of your eyes and then that's it. So I'm kind of wondering, you know, all those years, I couldn't find anybody that ever was willing to explain anything to me differently, or even maybe believe that there was something different going on. And so then, you know, for all those years, I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess there's just nothing more for me to do about it. There must not be anything else, because these people who are the experts just are going along the same way and telling me that every year I'm going to need worse and worse, or stronger and stronger. My eyes are going to get worse and worse, and then I'll have to have stronger and stronger glasses.
Yeah, and so kind of to rephrase what you just said, the way I would say that as a myth is that idea that that glasses, what the eye care industry, the treatment that the eye care industry does, right, which is glasses, contacts, or surgery, like let's say LASIK in this case, is a treatment that's actually fixing your problem, right? So is that something that you mean by that, that you're feeling like they're actually telling you, you know, you go there and you know, they're basically the experts and they tell you exactly, and you basically don't really, like, my thing was always like, when I came back, I didn't understand my vision. I was like, well, they know best, right? Your feeling of like, I'm put my eyesight in the hands of these trusted doctors because they're the experts, right? That's what your feeling was too. You've listened to what they say, you know, you might not understand your prescription, but they're basically the best resource that you have for your eyesight because they're the experts and you don't really need to know. Is that right? What do you mean by that? Like, you know, yeah. And here's the thing. I talked to thousands of people over the years, and many times people didn't know their prescription. They didn't know. I think I have something with astigmatism. I'm not really sure. Like one doctor said I had cataracts, but then the other doctor said I didn't. Like, here's the thing. Yes, eye doctors are definitely trained. They're specialized in their field. They know a lot. But here's the thing. They don't always have the best interest in mind for you. And I don't want to say that eye doctors are bad people. First of all, there's optometrists and there's ophthalmologists. And optometrists have a business selling glasses and contacts. And for them to tell you, like, you can improve your vision, or you know, there's to actually empower you, right, to take care of your own eyes, would mean that they can sell you glasses and contacts. So they have a vested interest in giving you new glasses every year, right? Even if that means that your vision goes downhill that way, right? So they kind of do that. And I'm not saying they're bad people. This is what they truly believe. They're trained in optometry school. And ophthalmologists, I would say, are maybe a little better resource, but they're also trained to just anything that's wrong with your eyes has to be fixed with surgery, right? So they correct strabismus, they cut some muscles. So it's like a surgery. That's the only approach. So I think the most important part that I want to leave everybody with listening to this is, yes, your eye doctor definitely, I'm not giving medical advice here. I'm not diagnosing or prescribing anything. Nobody that's not a doctor can do that. So yes. However, here's the thing. Empower yourself to understand and ask the doctor, explain this to me, please. Explain why you want to, let's say, use this cataract lens implants. Explain to me why my vision got worse following your treatment. Explain to me, you know, why is my eye so dry? Like what is, you know, basically ask questions and empower yourself to understand this. And I give you one last example that I know that wasn't you, but my mom had cataract surgery and I'm like, what lens are they going to implant? He's like, I don't know. He said to me, this makes more, like he basically didn't explain. I'm like, Mom, do you get lenses for far vision, for near vision, for both? But she doesn't even know that lenses have to, like, you know, I'm like, don't you want to know what your vision will be like after they do the surgery? And this is just, you know what I mean, Kay? I know you're not that kind of type. You ask more questions, but that idea that we totally, like literally blindly trust the eye doctor to make decisions for us without us really understanding. So that's definitely a myth. They're not the best resource. The best resource is you. Nobody sees through your eyes, and educating yourself and then using the doctor for advice. That's what I would say to that. So.
Okay, so another thing is, it's like kind of sums up some of these things we've talked about, is that these are just my eyes. They're just the circumstances I was born with, or came to over my lifetime. And, they call glasses, or I wore contact lenses for a while, but my eyes were so dry, I couldn't after a while. So it's like they call these corrective lenses, but, you're still using them. So it's like a Band-Aid or a crutch, and it's not really correcting anything. So, they're just kind of, it feels like I've been led to believe that for the rest of my life, this is the way it's going to be.
Yes, and I totally love this, because this is one of my beefs, like corrective lenses, right? And I always use the analogy because it makes so much sense. If you break your arm, you get a corrective cast, right? That sets your bones that are like off, they correct themselves, they get fused again, and then you get rid of the cast and off you go. You get some physical therapy. But with eyes, the corrective lenses, like you just said, they don't correct anything. In fact, they make you dependent, and they make your vision worse long term. So if they were truly correcting something, I'm actually got these Invisalign braces, right? And you can see, but my bite, there's an issue with my bite causing my jaw to be uneven. So these, I will wear these for a while, right? And then my bite will be in a way where it's more adjusted to the side so that my jaw doesn't get tense all the time. So that's an actual correction, right? I'm doing some small tweaks to my teeth to correct my bite, making me feel more relaxed and feeling better, right? So glasses don't, otherwise I love what you just said. You would get them, you would have gotten them in second grade, and they would be like, okay, you have Kay has to wear her glasses for maybe 3 to 4 months, and then, she should be fine. But what happened is you've been in glasses ever since second grade, right? So yeah, there's no correction. So that's a big myth. They don't correct anything. They just, it's like they're addressing a symptom, much like a diabetes drug like metformin would do for diabetes, versus actually addressing the root cause. So yes, totally a myth.
Yeah. So then I guess after all this, it's kind of like, is there really anything I can do about my vision? Seems like there should be, but I don't know what, I don't know where. Is it even possible to change my vision?
So yeah, so this is basically, right, a new eye doctor, and most of my students say that when they have vision, when their vision improves and they go back to the doctor most of the time, this is what I heard most of the time, says, oh, no, vision improvement doesn't work. That doesn't make any sense. Basically, I must have measured wrong last time. So then I would think like, oh, you measured wrong last time, but then you told me to wear those glasses because that's what I need so that eyesight doesn't get worse. So here's the thing, guys. Natural vision improvement works 100%. You have to work it for yourself. You have to be willing to make some changes, some mindset changes, some lifestyle changes. Really depends on your situation. You have to be willing to do the work, and I don't like good vision or vision improvement is all about relaxation, but with work, meaning you have to commit to doing this and actually be interested in improving your vision. And it works 100%. If you look on Wikipedia, it says it doesn't work. It's all a scam, but we have thousands and millions of examples of that vision improvement works. I'm one of them. I have hundreds of students that have improved your vision. And Kay, do you want to conclude with sharing your story? Because you started with wearing glasses in second grade for nearsightedness, and now you're, you tell your own story. I don't want to.
Well, so we'll just kind of fast forward to today again now. And basically, I wore progressives maybe for about 8 to 10 years until that's what I was wearing, progressives. And one thing I don't want to forget to say is that when I would say, oh, I ditched my glasses, people would say, oh, well, your eyes just must not have been very bad to begin with. And they weren't. Like, we were looking at my husband's prescription this morning. He definitely has a stronger prescription than I have, but I have astigmatism, and and there were also some little subtle things I was kind of doing on my own the last few years, which I think actually did help me improve before I finally got to be connected with Claudia and know more things to do. But for me, it's not just about how well I can see or that I can see and drive at night without the glasses and the glare. The last pair of glasses I had kind of a glass lens with a raw edge and then a frame outside and a gap in between. So I was getting weird reflections, and anyway, it's not just about not having to wear glasses anymore. For me, it's also about my comfort level, because I had this area here that was always irritated. I had a lot of dryness, and I tried all the different eye drops, but a lot of the techniques and the things that I've learned have just helped me be more comfortable around my eyes. I mean, like, I can go to a drier climate, you know, in the mountains, and I don't feel like my eyes are scratchy. I don't feel like I have to have drops, you know, 3 times a day. So a lot of it is about being able to see better, but a lot of it is also just feeling a lot more comfortable and happy with my eyes. And also just feeling really hopeful that I won't have to go through a lot of these things that, you know, media and your friends and your family and your, you know, your healthcare professionals. I'll say, oh, well, yeah, you just expect this. And so I think believing that you can make a change. I've talked to a lot of people who just say, oh, well, that's cool for you. And they just don't really think that, you know, they could get any improvement, or because they've been told all these myths too. So I think just being open and willing, and again, you know, taking the time, because, you know, people talk about, you know, oh, a course takes time or it costs money, but how long, you know, how much money do you spend on glasses for the rest of your life? How much time does it take to go and then try to get used to them? I mean, this last pair of glasses I got like 2.5 years ago, I went back to the eye doctor 3 times, the first time and 2 more times, and I went to the optician about 8 times because they just didn't feel right, and they never did get right. So that was a big chunk of time. So now I don't have to rely on anybody else. I have control over it, and I really appreciate that.
You know, when you think, thank you for sharing that, Kay. When you think about, you know, you had like 6 years of wearing glasses from, you know, I know you, I asked you beforehand if it's okay to share your age, but you're going to be 67 and you started at age 7. So it's been 60, no, quite not 60 years, because you did naturally clear vision last year, but you've been glasses free since. And yeah, I just want to encourage everybody, like, you make your own decision. Like, no matter what you think, what you believe, if you are out there watching this video and you're like, well, I don't know if I need to see the proof, I need to see the science. There's lots and lots and lots of science out there, but make your own decisions. Like, just empower yourself. This is my mission. Thank you so much, Kay, for sharing that, because we've been walking around town here in Monterey, and Kay is like sharing her story and how quickly you also shared how quickly your vision improved, right? It didn't even take that long. And in being a beacon of light and empowering other people to do the same. And everybody has to make their own choices about anything in life. But to me, ignorance is not bliss. And I think it's important for everybody out here to understand that this is 100% possible, and not just for someone like Kay and me, but for everybody. You can absolutely 100% improve your eyesight at any age, at any level. Does it mean everybody will be able to go glasses free? Does it mean everybody, like if you start at 75, will be like have perfect 20/20/20/10 vision? No, but you can make improvements. You can prevent eye diseases, and all of this is in your hands. So don't believe that your eye doctor is going to be there for you, you know, to make sure. He's really just going to, or she or he is going to say, you know, yes, you're 65. It's normal to have a cataract. Yes, it's normal to be in progressive, to losing your vision, all these things. So it's your choice to believe those things or not, or to take some action, and be it with me or somebody else. But empower yourself to better vision and improve your vision as you get older, and be the weird person that's doing it all the other way around. So anyway, YouTube, goodbye. Let me double check if there's any live comments, because no, I don't see any live comments. But anyway, I will be here next week again, and we will do vision gains next week.